centuries prior to European contact were socially dynamic and thus archaeologically complicated time periods in the upper Midwest. Population movements, shifting social ties, and material innovations created new ways of doing things and new group identities. These larger communities of interaction are identified archaeologically as Upper Mississippian, encompassing Oneota, Langford, Fisher, Huber, and Fort Ancient. Recent excavations by ISAS at the Fisher Phase site of Joe Louis may help us better understand these regional relationships during the 13th and 14th century. The creation and maintenance of social relationships and group identities takes place through shared experiences and interactions, from daily practices of hunting, farming, and eating together to periodic gatherings for trade and religious ceremony, or in a modern example, gathering together in a conference room for feats of bravery and academic prowess. Numerous rivers and trails across northern Illinois, especially around the southern end of Lake Michigan, made this area highly conducive to these larger regional interactions. Between AD 1200 and 1400, northern Illinois was the home of people making at least two distinct types of pottery. Fisher-based pottery was made using crushed shell for temper, while Langford-based pottery was crushed rock, or also known as grit. Only a handful of sites with Fisher-based pottery, including Joe Louis, have been excavated across northern Illinois and northwestern Indiana. Sites with Langford pottery are also found overlapping in the same region, and sometimes even overlapping at the same sites. The Joe Louis site, which is Fisher Phase Village, is located on the banks of the Little Calumet River, a major east-west waterway south of Lake Michigan. This village was large, approximately 20 acres in size, and intensely occupied between the mid-13th and mid-14th century. Objects excavated from over 100 pit features, including stone and bone tools, food remains, pottery, and personal ornaments, have given us insight into how people at Joe Louis lived, as well as their material connections to other parts of the region. People living here were farmers, growing corn and native cultigens. They were also hunting and they were fishing, living on the Little Calumet River. They were heavily using the water resources. And they were also producing that shell-tempered or Fisher-based pottery. Importantly, people at Joe Louis were traveling or trading widely. For example, the most common raw material that they were using to make their stone tools is typically found more than 70 miles away in the upper Illinois River Valley. Likewise, complete tools and raw materials also came from central Wisconsin, southern Indiana, and western Illinois. Additionally, there are subtle variations in the shape of these Fisher-based jars that have been found to potentially differentiate those made in Illinois from those typical from northwestern Indiana. And about 1/3 of the jars recovered from Joe Louis share these similarities with the jars from northwestern Indiana, suggesting a possible close relationship in this area. In addition to growing corn and native cultigens, wild rice was also harvested. Interestingly, this was concentrated at the site in proximity to mortuary features. Ethnohistoric sources suggest that wild rice was sometimes a ceremonial food, perhaps here associated with funeral practices. Similarly, the largest concentration of tobacco was also recovered from this mortuary area. Numerous elk and bison scapular hoes were found in pits across the site. These hoes were heavily used, sometimes broken, and were carefully disposed of on top of or tucked along the sides of refuse pits. The pattern distribution across the site suggests that this was intentional, perhaps used to terminate certain features or cap certain deposits. And while it is typically believed that scapula hoes were traded into Illinois from further west during this time period, the recovery of larger, meaty portions of bison in the site suggests people were also hunting small herds locally. And are hunting these in addition to elk, black bear, white-tailed deer, and other small to medium-sized animals, in addition, of course, to water resources. Animals provide more than just food, of course. Evidence from the site suggests that hides were being processed for clothing, and a disproportionate number of bird wing elements were recovered, and bird wings are sometimes used for production of wing fans or other adornments. And additionally, a number of personal adornments or personal ornaments, which can be used to mark or create individual identity or group identity, were recovered, including bones made from bone, shell, animal teeth, and copper. And of course, copper comes typically from the southern Lake Superior shore. And finally, an articulated wolf paw was found at the base of one pit, gathered together with other artifacts and capped with a scapula hoe, perhaps creating an assemblage, something akin to a medicine bundle. So people at Joe Louis were not just hunting, fishing, and farming together, but perhaps gathering for community building events as well. Given its primary location on a major waterway, the site may have been a gathering place for creating and reaffirming larger group identities through trade and periodic